in the case of immigration, if you hard restrict it and make it harder to get in, the only people who are going to make the attempts to get in, or generally going to make the attempts to get in, are more likely to commit crimes.
Well, that's just not, there's no data or evidence to suggest that at all. When we've had the strictest immigration policies, crime was at its lowest in this country.
Well,
so in the 1950s,
that's correlation.
Well, no, it's actually direct causation. Right now, we have wide open borders, correct? DNA background testing from over 120 different countries.
Sure, but I don't think that has to do with the process of getting into the country. Well, it has to do with the process of getting in the country, because if it's extremely difficult to get in through legally, people are going to resort to coming through illegally.
Well,
is that not true?
Well, but we should just prevent both. I mean, that's the point.
You should prevent people getting in any way?
Yeah, well, we should have a total immigration moratorium in this country completely.
We have like the lowest unemployment we've had in a long time. Wouldn't we want more workers?
No, we want wages to go up for American workers.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Well,
so you want to restrict the labor pool so that you guys get the jobs first, not some competitor from Korea or Japan that comes in and steals your tech job. Shouldn't we invest in American workers first before foreigners?
We should.
But why do you think wages are not keeping up with inflation? Because we're bringing in millions of people into this country every single year that you guys have to compete against, and they don't have student loan debt.
If we're bringing
so they're able to undercut wages every single year. Yeah, continue.
If we're bringing in so many people, I don't think we would have as low unemployment as we would right now. Would we?
There's two types of unemployment. There's structural unemployment, and then there's specialized unemployment. Specialized unemployment is very, very high, which is about 8 to 9%, which is more computer science, data engineering. But we have millions of people that have entered the disabled roles too. So, but to your point, we do have millions of people coming into the, I mean, it's not even a question.
But how many of those people you think that are coming in or would come in if we made it faster and more easy are going to be taking these high specialized tech jobs?
Well, very few, but the point is that
then the point about
they undercut the muscular class, which is the very people that pay the biggest burden for all these policies.
You said that the high unemployment is in specialized, not in general unemployment.
Correct.
So if general unemployment is so low, then why are we worried about people coming in taking the jobs of like the labor?
Well, that's not the only reason why we're worried. We're worried because many of them are coming in illegally, and they're criminals, every single one of them. So they break our laws.
I think you're proving my point here, though.
But no, you're just making one sliver of economics, though. Numbers aside, how many of you guys have seen things get so expensive in the last year and a half? Okay, so that's just...
I agree, but I think we have different reasons, because I see that major companies...
Why are prices going up?
I see major companies are owning different things like cereal brands. There's like 2 companies that own all cereal brands, and when they can increase the prices continually and say, hey, look, guys, it's inflation, when they're making record profits that they've never made.
Yeah, if that's the case, then why are small businesses raising their prices?
Small businesses are raising their prices because the products that they're getting in from these major 2-3 companies are
okay, so how does inflation work?
Inflation works by having more money in the system, and generally, because of that, your dollar is worth less, and then your wages don't really increase. And because your wages don't increase, everything's costing more to you.
So true or false, we have injected around $10 trillion of new money in the last 3 years.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that is the #1 reason why we're seeing prices increase.
Absolutely, but I think it's slowed, the inflation itself has slowed down a lot, and the prices themselves...
It depends on what good or service you're talking about.
I agree, and I think the reason it's what good or service is because the goods or services that are in control of borderline monopolies are able to raise their prices more and more. That's why when you go to the grocery store, the big issue is a bunch of things are going up that are controlled by major companies that are supplying all these grocery stores, right?
Yeah, but a lot of them have competitors, and so I mean, I can list 5 or 6 examples where there's robust competition and prices are still going up. But we have too many dollars chasing too few goods and services. That's the big problem.
Our worker base isn't really churning as it should because we have such low unemployment, which is why I'm saying immigration should be easier to come in, because when your workers aren't moving through positions and stuff, wages aren't going to increase that often because you're more likely to get a wage increase by switching to another job that pays you more.
Yeah, so wouldn't it make, if you want to get wages up, shouldn't you want to restrict the amount of workers in the workforce? I mean, so if you have 200 people you could hire to fix a window, or 30 people to hire to fix a window, which pool is going to have the higher average wage?
I think the smaller pool would.
Okay, we agree.
The issue is a lot of people right now aren't wanting to go switch to other jobs all the time. And when you get more people in more jobs, you're likely to have more churn through there.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we disagree on that.
Okay, cool. So that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, but you don't have me convinced on the immigration issue, though.
Okay,
because if you restrict immigration across the board, then you have a prioritization and a lesser pool of competition for foreign-born American labor.
Sure, but I think, am I wrong in saying your issue is that you have issues with specialized labor coming in and taking the positions of higher paying, more specialized?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's specialized muscular class labor, which is conflated. Yeah. So there's advanced manufacturing too, which does not require a college degree, but can take 6 to 9 months of apprenticeship. Or for example, being an auto mechanic, that's not exactly being a coder, but that's tough work, right? Sure. Or even more simply,
I just don't think that that's the majority of labor that is going to come in if we allow more people through. And it's not like a blanket, oh, we're letting everybody through. But right now I see my biggest issue with the right is that, like, why are we restricting more immigration other than like illegal immigration, but why are we not proposing ways to loosen immigration to fix that, the jobs that aren't like that? Because there's, like, most jobs aren't generally in those classes.
No, you're coming after this in good faith. My response would be, we need a national training program to get Americans properly trained before we try to import foreign labor to fill those positions. And that goes back to my college is a scam type postulation. So we have oversupplied the credentialing, which is 4-year college degree, and we've undersupplied the 6 to 9 month specialization vector. And because of that, we have massive job openings. I want to get to the next question. Okay. Thank you, appreciate it.
I want to talk about, like, gun control.
Gun control.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So I know, like, we have a Second Amendment. We're, like, protected owning, like, firearms.
Yes.
As a gay person, I often fear of, like, retaliation, hate crimes. I've actually been mugged a few times wearing stuff that may not seem as normal as this.
Okay.
What can, like, we do from, like, a Second Amendment perspective to, like, help bring people into, like, the folds of, like, gun ownership in order for, like, self-protection?
Yeah, I think that's a thoughtful question. I mean, look, I think, if you've been mugged and everything, like, I'm sorry that happened to you. The gun's a great equalizer, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that people like you need to speak up and be like, look, if you think you're going to be terrorized or you're going to be hunted, like, a gun is a moral right to be able to defend yourself and your liberty, right? And your family or your people you love. I mean, I suppose it'd be a better question for you, right? Like, what do you think that a majority of gay people are pro guns or anti? I'm just curious. Like,
mostly anti-gun.
Why do you think that is? I'm just curious.
I think it's a lot of, like, liberal identity politics. How can we, like, bridge that, like, disconnect?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that, look, I don't think gun ownership should be political. I don't. And, like, this is one of the arguments I always make for, like, BLM people, right? It's like, if you think you're getting hunted down, then, like, responsibly own guns, right? But there is a fear around gun ownership in America. I think it should transcend, sexual persuasion or skin color, right? I think it's a moral right for all people, especially if you think, especially women who are, potentially at a physical disadvantage from defending themselves, right? And you got mugged a couple times. I don't know if the person who mugged you is a man or a woman. I don't know. But, like, if you were in a situation where you're physically disadvantaged, like a firearm could equalize that, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty, like, out there.
Is it taboo, like, tactic almost?
Yeah, like, I'm very, like, no, go for it. Like, get into a girl. But then it's also just kind of, like, not really, I don't want to say, like, frowned upon, but just kind of like, whoa, that's a bit much from, like, someone like me. But I just thought I'd ask.
Well, I want to encourage you, like, don't let that get to you.
I'm much more, like, pro-gun ownership and, like, Second Amendment type.
Yeah, okay. And that's because of necessity, like, basically what happened to you, or just?
Yeah, but also just more of, like, community defense, I would say.
Sure.
I don't think people should be, like, shooting each other on the streets or, like, dueling, obviously.
No, I don't support that, obviously.
I know. Yeah. But, like, it's definitely something that I think that, like, a lot more, like, LGBT people should really take into account just to protect ourselves and, like you said, people.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. Like, if you believe you're being targeted or you're in a marginalized position, like, that's what the Second Amendment is partially there for, right? One of the reasons. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, because you're, like, a very big, like, political person.
Yeah, I would just kind of take it from a moral argument too, right? Which is, like, if you believe, like, who are you going to trust to defend yourself? That's what I would take, right? So it's like, do you trust the police, which obviously is not a big thing around here, right?
Yeah.
Do you trust, like, I don't know, someone that you think will hurt you, then the moral argument of the Second Amendment is that you should be responsible for your own autonomy and your own safety, right? There's other reasons too, but.
Great. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thoughtful question.
Well, this was a tough one, you understand. I think I saw valid points from the guy, and I also, Charlie also have his own valid points, when you make immigration or you make entering into your country a little bit fair, there will be low rate of, people jumping the border. I think that is what the guy is saying, and there is points in it, or there is sense in it. And I think what Charlie is saying is Americans here, not all of them are gainfully employed, or some of them are underpaid. So what he's saying is, let's bring down immigration law so that when you need someone to render a service, the people that are available will be few. And people being few means you have to pay more, because if you really want the work to be done, you have to pay more. You understand? Because there are fewer workers ready to do that job. And I think that is the angle Charlie is coming from. But there is sense in both of them. But I think the best thing is what works for Americans. So if high rate of immigration works, then I think the boy win. But if cutting down immigration so that at least you would make sure that Americans that are in the country get the best out of what they are doing, then I think Charlie win. But at the end of the day, I'll still go with what Charlie is saying, because we have to make sure that our country, you understand, come first. And I think that's what Charlie have been pushing for. Even if I'm from Africa, but I see sense in it, because if I want to give a job, I would give a job based on competence, not really based on nationality, you understand. But what Charlie is saying is, let's make sure that everyone at home is gainfully employed. You understand? You need to make sure that everyone in your house, in your family, have eaten, before going outside and giving food to everyone. You understand? You let people in, or you share the love. You go out, you give out food when you have excess. You understand? You don't give out from your last meal. You give out when there is excessive, food. So I think last 2 years, American, allowed people to come into the country, people that are, skilled in riding these big cars, I think maybe trailer and the rest of it. And people applied. I saw several people working in Nigeria doing such job, but are underpaid. They actually applied, you understand, try their best to, get their visa to travel out. And I think Americans have always been doing that, you understand, when they feel like they need a special field. Let's say even medicine, if they need a whole lot of doctors, they will lessen their strictness on immigration, you understand, let people come in, especially when they know they stand to benefit. They will let people come in. But by doing that, the country these doctors are living from, they're going to go through a lot. You understand? Because now the best, American is going to go for the best out of the best, because they need them for their country. So I feel our leaders need to look in and, secure these people, these experienced people, increase their wages, like make sure they are comfortable so that they will not be enticed by what, other countries are offering. Because surely American will pick the best for themselves. So it's an advice to every our African leaders, you understand. People are there. People are going through the four corners of the university. They are producing. They are evolving. Like they are creating things that they just need little encouragement, little support, little financial support to push. But they are not getting that. So when they see any opportunity to leave the country, they are open to it. And American will gladly welcome them in. You understand? But what Charlie Kirk is against is not people coming in their numbers. He's against this illegal entering into the country. I think before Donald Trump came in, and Charlie Kirk made a video that almost, 10,000 people enter America through the southern border every day. And I feel like the population is much. They need to at least be able to digest what they have now before they ask for more. Like a whole lot of people are already in. They need to make sure that people that are there for a good reason. American is benefiting from them, and also make sure that at least they have proper documentation before they can let other people come in. And I think that is why they are being strict on their visa, because they want to, they are trying to use the opportunity to at least take out the bad egg before letting genuine people into the country. if I'm the one, I'll do the same thing. Because I really want to have a country or a home whereby I have everyone on check. At least I have the details of everyone in my home. Instead of just seeing random faces, I'm wondering, how did this person get in here? So I get his point. Anyway, this is beautiful. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If it is your first time visiting the channel, click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and remain blessed.